Between 2011 and 2013, 936 allegations of sexual abuse by the Catholic clergy were reported. According to the 2013 report from the US Conference of Catholic Bishops, more than 40% of these victims were between the ages of 10 and 14. Then, hidden reports of paedophilia started to emerge from as far back as the 1940s. In 2014, Pope Francis revealed that as many as 1 in 50 priests is a paedophile. How was the illicit activity of a 2,000-year-old organization with 2.2 billion members overlooked for so long? And whose interest was really kept in mind? The safety of the victims or the image of the Church? In 1984, the Catholic clergy made headlines with the case of Father Gilbert Gauthier in Louisiana. During Father Gauthier's 11 years in the Church, he molested at least 37 boys in 4 parishes. Some victims were silenced using threats to hurt their family. These types of threats and manipulation became common practice in the Church for decades to come. Even more disturbing is the fact that the case of Father Gauthier may have gone unnoticed, were it not for the fact that reporter Jason Berry discovered the cover-up. Gauthier was eventually sentenced to 20 years in prison after pleading guilty to 34 criminal counts. But since then, around 848 priests have been defrocked, 384 of these occurring in the space of just 2 years. But letters addressed to Catholic bishops in the 1950s show that priest molestation of children was recognized over 70 years ago. Former Catholic priest John J. Gagan has become the inspiration for 2016 Oscar-nominated movie Spotlight. His story is a typical example of the Church's cover-up operation. 1962. While assigned to Blessed Sacrament, Reverend Anthony Benchovich allegedly told church officials that junior priest Gagan was bringing boys into his bedroom. He denied this allegation at the time, although in 1995 admitted to having molested 4 boys during his assignment years. 1966. Gagan was assigned to Burness Parish in Concord. He was mysteriously transferred after 7 months, and church records offer no explanation for his reassignment. 1968. A man complained to church authorities that he had caught Gagan molesting his son. As a result, the church sent him to Seton Institute in Baltimore for treatment for his pedophilia. In the early 1970s, parishioner Joanne Mueller accused Gagan of molesting her 4 young sons. Mueller informed Reverend Paul E. Michelli, and he asked her to keep quiet. The church later reached a settlement with her. 1974. The church moved Gagan to St. Andrew's Parish in Jamaica Plain. 1980. Gagan admitted to abusing 7 boys and was placed on sick leave 3 days later before being ordered to undergo psychoanalysis and psychotherapy. 1984. The church removed him from the parish after complaints that he was molesting children. He was then assigned to St. Julia's Parish in Weston, where he was put in charge of 3 youth groups, including altar boys. Gagan's story of abuse, reassignment, and cover-ups continued right up to his retirement in 1993. It wasn't until 1998 that he was defrocked. What were the Church's incentives for protecting such a horrific man and allowing so many young boys to be abused? Legislation dating back as far as 1517 states that the Church's highest priority is preserving its image, its finances, and its property. In the early 2000s, Texan lawyer Daniel Shea uncovered a confidential record from the Vatican dated to 1962. The document states that all those involved in sex abuse, including victims and witnesses, were committed to total and perpetual silence, with automatic excommunication if they revealed the abuse to the authorities. The power of the Catholic Church means that it can easily silence witnesses and victims, often by compensating them for their troubles. Some young victims have even claimed they thought being abused was part of the duties of being an altar boy. In 1992, victim Phil Saviano tried to build up a case to take his molester and the church to court. The church responded with an offer of a $15,500 payment if he agreed to stay quiet. In 2014, the Associated Press announced that between 2004 and 2013, the church had spent just under $3 million in costs related to abuse allegations. 32 years after the first story of abuse was reported, has the church absolved itself? Critics like law professor Lauren Karasik claim that the church must fully answer for its past failures, and that the Vatican must fully cooperate with prosecutors to seek accountability for abusers. Despite this, Pope Francis has claimed that no one else has done more to tackle sexual abuse than the Catholic Church. He has a zero-tolerance policy towards paedophilia in the Church, and he has promised to expel all paedophiles from the priesthood. In 2015, he set up a tribunal to investigate bishops who failed to prevent child abuse taking place in their diocese. But before they fully cooperate and hand over all their secret past abuses, it will be difficult to believe him, and even more difficult to rebuild the trust within the Catholic community.
Schools are supposed to be a sacred place for learning and growing academically. However, sometimes schools are also a place of intense security where students are fearing for their lives every day. Tufts University. According to the Daily Beast, Tufts University in Somerville, Massachusetts is the most dangerous college in the United States.